Hello, hello. So happy to be back with you all today. Thanks for catching us. If you're live, let us know, share a comment. If you have let StreamYard know or shared your information, then we'll be able to know who we're saying hello back to, or let us know if you're catching this on the replay. I'm really excited to introduce you today to Kitti Andrews. Let me tell you a little bit about Kitti, and I'll share why I'm so excited to have this conversation and share about what she is creating and sharing herself inside of her group. So Kitti is the founder and CEO of Declutter the Brain. She works with coaches, consultants, and entrepreneurs to eliminate their physical and mental clutter so they can focus on attracting and serving premium clients. Also known as your thought organizer, Kitti believes that physical clutter and lack of concentration are very closely related. Her 20 years of experience in helping people to get their surroundings under control have led her to create the step-by-step one system that has helped her clients to go from broke and overwhelmed to well off, organized, and focused. And Kitti is going to share some tips and insights with us today, and a little bit, as I said, about a program that she shares within her group. And so I know if this is something that, even if you have a little inkling, like, do I live in clutter? Is clutter an issue for me? You're probably tuning into something that is worth paying attention to. And I was sharing with Kitti before we hopped online. We have had the good luck to connect over this last year in a group that we're both participating in. But in my previous life, as I say, I used to help senior clients, usually in their 80s and 90s, help to downsize from the home they were living in and move into a smaller place. And I helped a lot of them with the decluttering part, with letting go of some of those emotional attachments, memories, all of these mementos that carry extra meaning, and even those of their children that they were left to be the custodians of. And so I know this can be a tough topic and a really important thing for us to be present to, because we don't ever want to be under a deadline when it's time to look at this situation of taking a look at what's going on inside, because as within, so without. So Kitti, thank you so much for letting me indulge a little bit on that. I'm so glad that you made some time to join me today.
Hey, thank you for having me, Susie. I appreciate it. Looking forward to this.
So what is your inspiration in the work that you do? Why do you feel that it's really important to bring the conversation to this?
To
declutter the brain specifically. How do you see that connection maybe slowing the process or growth of the entrepreneurs and coaches that you work with?
Well, clutter can be absolutely devastating to a business for a couple of reasons. As I've found from personal experience, and I think you'd agree with me that that we learn most from personal experience. If you are disorganized, or there's clutter around, then you find yourself distracted.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I really should clean that, but I've got to focus on my work. Geez, I've got to get to that sometime. Oh, I got to focus on my work. Do you see what I mean? You're distracted and you're not completely in the game that you should be when you're supposed to be reaching out to clients and doing your best, and you're just constantly distracted. Even if you're walking through your home, oh, I've got to get to that. And why haven't I been able to do, why can't I? All right. And your self-esteem is, yeah, your confidence is just not quite as good as it should be. So you're not bringing as much to the table for your clients as you should. You're not bringing your best self, as it were. And the second thing that I have found is credibility. If you are arriving late for a call, or you get on a call with your client and you're saying, I've got your file here somewhere. I'll be right with you. Well, that doesn't look very professional, does it? You want to be showing up uber professional, that, yep, I've got it all together. And that comes across to the client. doesn't it? That, yep, I'm in good hands with Allstate here, as they used to say. Um, and I know that this coach is going to be looking after me because they're professional. They have it all together, and that can only be achieved. I believe with if you have systems in place to keep yourself organized and clutter free.
Awesome. I think those are two really important considerations that maybe a lot of people, if they haven't gotten present to this yet, think that it might not be noticed on the receiving end, right? When you show up to an appointment, say, oh, I think I've got it together. But there is that lack of confidence. You really need your clients to feel that they can trust, that they can rely on you. And those little, even if they don't see you rifling through your piles of papers, I have to admit I can relate to that. It's there, you don't have that seamless flow and the readiness, the presence, because you're trying to even mentally get back to where you wanted to be present to. So yeah, I think that's such an important thing for people to recognize and place to understand that we can get support.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And especially in the first 6 months of you working with a client. When you first meet them on your initial call, this happened to me recently. Is I was seeking out someone for their services, and they came to the call 15 minutes late. I can't find my computer. I can't even find any. Needless to say, I'm not utilizing their services.
But hopefully they might be calling you back for a conversation.
Maybe, right? Yeah.
And so one of the things that I think is worth exploring or looking into is, we can let so many things go on. I think it's kind of the nature of being an entrepreneur that we have a lot of ideas. Talking now again about that internal distraction. There's so much going on. So what do you find are ways, that as entrepreneurs, how do you see other ways that that's hurting their business? As you said, in the first 6 months, it's really important to establish that relationship. But what other kind of obstacles might that be presenting to people?
Oh, good heavens! Really, the two things that I find are the distractions and that are taking away your focus from your business, and the credibility lack of as the toll on your self-esteem and your confidence. The well, I mean, even if you're not an entrepreneur, if you are arriving late because you can't find your car keys, or you're just basically feeling scattered, and that can, like I say, really have its toll. Now, many of my clients are ADHD. Many entrepreneurs are ADHD. 30% have admitted in a recent survey. And we can have our brains scattered enough. Thank you very much. We don't need any extra distractions. So I really find that those are the two uh, two or three or four or five. You could expand, but it really just comes down to those two things: distraction and credibility and confidence.
Yeah, I think those can't be overlooked or overstated. And thank you for sharing that too. That's a really kind of perhaps surprising, and yet it makes sense to me, aspect of entrepreneurs, that so many are neurodiverse or, have ADHD. And I think it's another one of those mixed bags, right? It's part of what makes us great at what we do, because we can address a lot of things at the same time, but it can be an
Ooh,
obstacle.
yes. Oh, yes, yes. You have all of these great ideas scattered on pieces of paper, little pieces of paper everywhere, so you don't forget. and then that becomes overwhelming. So again, once you develop even a couple of small little systems, but first, there is no point. I believe there's no point in implementing systems until you have done your original decluttering. And that can be the overwhelming part where people just say, well, I want to get organized, but I don't know where to start. So I'll just throw everything in a filing cabinet and hope for the best. No, no, don't do it. And I have a couple of reasons why you shouldn't do that. Would you like to hear them?
Please, that sounds great.
Uh, they say you cannot organize until you declutter, and I firmly espouse that. For the first reason is all of those things that you are hanging on to, those are energy ghosts. They're things from the past. Clutter is defined as that which no longer serves you. So if you have, oh golly, things from your past life, clients that maybe didn't work out, they're just old bank statements, things like that. They're ghosts from your past, and you want to energetically. I know that you do energy stuff, right, with your stress. That's sucking up your mental energy, even your unseen energy. And oh golly, here we go. I went off on a tangent. You just throw things in a filing cabinet. You're still kind of tied to the past. And what you want to be doing, if you're going to help your clients move forward towards their bright, shiny future, you have to be the leader and set the example, even within yourself, to say, all right, I've let go of all of that. And especially if you've taken a shift in your career, in the people that you've served, then those people are no longer served, and it's time to move on, is what I'm saying in a very roundabout way, I'm afraid. And decluttering helps you to do that, whether it's would you like to focus on the office?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's probably a pain point for a lot of people.
Yeah, because my one system is, and with any luck we'll get to that, but
yes.
Entrepreneurs, what is one of the main rooms in our home is our office. Where do we spend the most time? There. So you have papers everywhere, and paper is actually one of the biggest stumbling blocks to us, because we have to deal with so much of it. But if you can streamline that so that it is easy, it is manageable. I use color coding a lot, anything like that. But you really do have to get rid of the old. How do you decide what is no longer serving you? Sometimes you need a hand with, and that's where I come in. Sometimes you can just go ahead and do it by yourself, and just say, I don't feel good about that period in my life, and I'm going to let it go. I'm going to thank it for its service and move on to the new. Because I've had a couple of career shifts. You have too, and we don't do seniors decluttering anymore. We're doing different things and moving on, and we have to feel that energy around us. That yeah, this is who I am now. So we're decluttering first, and then we're implementing the systems. Don't try to do it the other way around, because you're wasting your time, frankly.
Yeah, and I think it really strikes me that as we have, although we see the fallacy of the myth of multitasking, we recognize that it isn't really serving us. It slows us down. It drains our focus. It feels like something, and I can see myself doing it too. Well, I've got this time. I know that I need to address this. I'll throw things out as I sort. So thank you for that tip to separate those two, to declutter and then implement your system. I think that'll really transform the whole process.
Yes, yes. Yeah, absolutely. And you have to do, not one size does not fit all. One tip that I really recommend, you said, what did you just say? Throw out as you sort.
Right. If you were to try to combine the
Oh,
decluttering and the organizing.
yeah. And yes, yeah, yeah. You are going to have, you are by definition going to be throwing things away. So yeah, absolutely. You're throwing out while you're sorting, but it's easier in the long run to throw out your things first and then organize your filing cabinet, for example, because you may find there are categories that you no longer need.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
You're inspiring me to come to this with fresh eyes. And it is spring cleaning season. So
Yeah.
no better. And
Mhm.
I'm really curious about your one system. Can you
Ooh,
give us a little insight into that?
absolutely. Okay, so now we're going to expand. Now we're going to expand to the house. Now, the big picture, as it were, and then narrow it down. And that is the point. Because why do people get overwhelmed with decluttering? Is because it's just so much, especially if you're in a reasonably large house. Um, Start with, okay, it's one room at a time, one area of that room at a time, one thing at a time. So what do I mean by that? One room. I suggest anyway, that you don't try to declutter one room and you might get bored. Okay, then I've done a little bit in the office. I'm going to do some in the bedroom, and I'll do a bit in the basement. I'll do a bit. Do you see where you're getting scattered and you're not focused? By the time you come back to the office, you've forgotten where you are, frankly, and you're starting from scratch again. You really are. Maybe not as bad as when you started, but you are starting from scratch. So that, and please don't try to declutter the biggest room in the house, like your basement with 30 years worth of Christmas decorations. Please don't try to start with that. No, 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 no. Start with preferably a reasonable sized room, whether that is your spare bedroom or your office. And you can even put, if the office looks too overwhelming, start with a closet somewhere, but start small. Why? Because it will fuel your momentum. Every step that you take forward and every little success, everything that you throw away is a step forward. And when you can look at something, and this ties into the next step, is a boost to your self-esteem. It's a boost to your adrenaline. It's a boost to your self-confidence. So that leads me right into one area of that room at a time. All right, ready? Okay, okay, I think I'll start. We're in the office. Yeah. I'll start in that corner. There's a bunch of stuff on the floor from when I moved in here, for example. I'll start in that corner. Okay. Well, maybe I should start over there. My desk could really use, oh, to hell with it. I'm tired. I'm going for lunch. And nothing gets
Maybe tomorrow.
right. You push the tomorrow button, and as I wrote once, you push the tomorrow button and go for lunch. Make a decision as to which area what you're going to do first. Now, I always recommend clearing the floor because from a feng shui point of view, you want to have a path from the door to the window. But no matter what you do, pick an area and stick with it until it's done. Now we get to the one thing at a time. Drum roll. Is it tedious? Absolutely. Is it time consuming? I'm afraid so. Is it the number one way that you will remain clutter free for the rest of your life once you have done it? Yes, it is. Want to know why?
I'd love to.
Because as you are going through those papers, one thing at a time, your brain starts to, and I've experienced this, your brain starts to think, you know, I'm going to call Wells Fargo and get them to put my bank statements online because I don't need them on paper, or Visa, whatever. Your brain starts to think of ways to avoid clutter, frankly, because you never want to go through this again, right? You want to declutter once and for all. You pick up, and this did happen with my very first client in Michigan. She had a very large L-shaped desk, and it was covered with papers, which she insisted she needed every single one of them. To make a long story short, there were a couple of stacks of magazines that she said, "Yep, I'm going to read them sometime." And then she started to flip through them and said, "You know, this one is 2 years old. Kitti, do you think I should toss it?" She flipped through it. She ripped out a couple of articles. Boom, gone. Next time she is in the checkout line, she is going to think twice about buying that magazine because of the 12 that she threw away in the trash. Changes your buying habits too.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why, if you do the one thing at a time, it you never have to do it again. I can call clients that I worked with 2 years ago. In fact, I did recently, and I check in on everybody, once a year, once every 2 years, and they all say, "I've kept it that way because I don't want to go through that again." So the one thing at a time, like I say, it can feel overwhelming. But here's the thing: once you start doing it, in about 10 or 15 minutes, and I've timed it, people get on a roll, and they pew 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 pew. It goes faster and faster and faster. Their decision making process is faster and faster till they hit the 45 or 50-minute mark, and then decision fatigue hits.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, stop. Your brain's tired. Decision fatigue. But yeah, your brain just starts to. Okay, I've watched this, and it's a phenomenon when I see people going boom, 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 boom with these papers or whatever it is we're decluttering. It really is phenomenal, and the people themselves, the clients themselves, are amazed. Wow, I can't believe how fast I'm doing this. What does that do? That fuels the momentum and their confidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Uh, and they can, my tagline still is, you can declutter any room, anytime, anywhere, for anyone. And some of my clients have helped other people. It becomes a skill. It becomes a way of life.
Like so many things, it can be a little hard to get into that rhythm. And so I really appreciate your insight and wisdom about that decision fatigue, because then we wonder why we can't come back to it. I committed to finishing this room, the house, and we have trouble starting again. We start going back for that tomorrow button because we pushed ourselves too far last time and felt discouraged, overwhelmed, started to feel a little hopeless about it all. Because it's easier to drop into that.
Yeah, short bursts. And that is. It seems counterintuitive. You would think that when I'm saying stick with it until you're done, but the short bursts is the secret sauce, as it were.
I love that. I love that. So such a great point. Some really great tips that you've already been able to share with us today. And so one of the things that I want people to know about is what you're sharing inside of your group. Can you tell us what is the name of it and what people can look to discover and get plugged into there with you?
In the Declutter the Brain Facebook group?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Oh, we have, I started it uh, at the advice of a mentor, but frankly, I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. I've never done it before. Haven't we all started something? And well, I've got this, and what do I do with it? It has evolved to we have special guests every week that and share. Many of them are coaches, consultants. I'm going to within the next month have a mountain climber on there who has climbed four of the seven the seven tallest mountains. He's supposed to be doing Everest next year. Anyway, we have a variety of special guests and weekend warrior challenges, and I love those because those are designed to you put down what it is you're going to tackle, just a short little project, maybe 10 minutes or 2 hours or something like that. And people put down, it's almost an accountability thing. They say, this is what I'm going to do this weekend. All right. And Friday workshops, Friday decluttering workshops. Every week is a different theme. Tomorrow, this week's theme is declutter your stress level. If you have a stressful life event, and ways to declutter your brain, so so that you can handle that stressful life event, whether it's the death of a loved one, your own illness, things like that. Anyway, every Friday at 11 Eastern, we have our decluttering workshops, and they're only an hour, and there's 15 minutes off camera where everybody dashes off and get amazing things done, by the way, in 15 minutes. And they come back and they say, one gentleman, can I tell you a quick story?
Yes, please.
Oh, good heavens. One gentleman who's been a long time follower, he came back after and he said, it was just before Christmas, and he said, thank you. He said, I have been meaning to clear off that dining room table for 3 months now. He says, I did it in 15 minutes. He was still in shock. And he says, I'll be able to put my Christmas decoration on it. And he was so happy. It kind of brought a tear to my eye. Yeah, how happy he was. Anyway, that's the workshops. Like I say, they're short. Many events that we see now online, they're a full day or 3 days. But if you do short little bursts, they're easy to digest, especially if you're easily distracted. And you get something done. That is the whole point. Is in fact, my client, the motto for the group I have exclusively for clients is progress over perfection. Do you love that?
Yes, absolutely. And you're taking me back to what you were saying at the beginning of our conversation about how when we struggle to start clearing the clutter, it can hinder our confidence and self-worth, right? We start to gauge ourselves by our surroundings. That's, one of the ways that we relate with the world. So how empowering is that for after months, he had struggled to get that table cleared. And in one day, in just 15 minutes, he conquered it. So then the next day, he feels more confident and inspired to tackle one more thing in one more area in one more room and start that trend again. I really love that.
Yeah.
Turn that around.
When they hit that basement with the 30 years worth of stuff and the things that they inherited from their parents, that's when they consider calling me. They might say, this gets to be a little bit much. I could use a helping hand here. and then we talk about working together. But if you can at least, some people, they're shy to even make the phone call because maybe they have tried to declutter before and it hasn't, and they haven't been able to, or here's another one, they haven't been able to keep it up.
Right.
And that is huge. So they feel, well, I've failed before. What's the point to even try again? Well, there's a huge point. There's a lot at stake. You've got a lot of life to live. And most of my clients are over 40. So we've been around the block and we're looking for a new way of thinking, perhaps a new career. Maybe they want to get into coaching and or whatever it is, and they're looking for a new way. They're tired of the old way, and they want to start fresh. What better way to start fresh than by decluttering the old? Yeah.
So true. So true. Marvelous. Thank you so much. I dropped the link in the comments. So hopefully that will come through as a link. But if you search Declutter the Brain on Facebook, you should also find Kitti's group there. So you can get connected, get inspired, learn a little something fresh every week. And I think the value of community, we just can't overestimate. So being together with other people who are putting a priority on this, on clearing the clutter, on enhancing the flow, is just a great way to stay inspired and keep moving forward.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Is there anything else you want to share before we go today?
Oh, good heavens. Well, sometimes I'm asked what is the number one thing that what's your number one tip? And I would say there are two. Of course. Make sure that you have a strong why and that you can visualize. So you're not just decluttering just for the sake of decluttering. Then it becomes a chore. If you can visualize, all right, I want a clear office so I can better serve my clients, and you can have a picture of yourself being calm, cool, collected. Yeah, strut your stuff. When you get down in front of the Zoom, then that will help you a lot. That will motivate you. Again, otherwise it becomes a chore. And the other thing is, don't give up. Because it's really, really easy to give up on decluttering or on yourself. And that serves no one, because anyone whether or not you're in the coaching or entrepreneur industry, you have someone to serve, whether it's your family, your friends. You are important to people, and we forget that. And we need to be our best for others, and most importantly, ourselves. We deserve the best. Let's remember that, shall we?
Thank you. Thank you. I already feel fortified and inspired. You're such a marvelous cheerleader. I love the insights and perspective and experience that you bring to this, because it is so easy to get discouraged. I know from the work that I did that so many people have tried and given up until, like I was saying at the beginning, it comes down to a deadline, a move or something like that, or as you had your own experience having to then go through and clean up a loved one's home. And so it's something we can do for ourselves to feel more clear, to lighten the load physically as well as, in our space. It really changes everything. It really is an inner and an outer benefit to addressing this. So ride that inspiration. Do check out Kitti's Facebook group. It's a wonderful community. And thank you so much for sharing your insights. Some really great action items here to get the ball rolling. And I look forward to seeing more coming together in your group too. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you very much, Susie. Most appreciated. It's been a blast.
Wonderful. Have a great day, everyone. Take good care. Let us know your thoughts. Is there one room you would start with if you were ready to step up to the plate and start clearing the clutter? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. We'll circle back and answer any questions that you have. Take good care, and we'll see you super soon.
Bye for now.